and welcome to Masters in Motion. I'm your proud host, Christine Dalgleish, and we're on the beautiful traditional territory of the Lheidli T'enneh. Masters in Motion is all about seniors in sport. We'll meet some who are competitive athletes striving for their peak performance, while others are just passionate about what they do. And right now, we're going to show you how it's done at Xconditioning, downtown Prince George. We're here at Xconditioning with Mike Weber, and we're going to find out a little bit about powerlifting today. So Mike, tell us what's going on here at Xconditioning that makes you guys amazing champions.
Well, the uniqueness of Xconditioning here is that everyone's on the same page. People come here because we lift weights, and we have some of the most successful lifters in Canada and in the world here to train the lifters that come.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, how did you start this crazy thing?
Well, I started lifting when I was 13, and I lifted all throughout my teens and my 20s. And I got into powerlifting when I was about 28 years old in 1998. I lived in Mackenzie, I trained all by myself, and I just needed a goal because I'd always been competitive in my life playing sports. And I started powerlifting, and I used to travel. I trained all by myself, and I'd travel 8 hours to go lift in either Lethbridge, Alberta, Tabor, or Coaldale, these tiny little towns in Alberta, to lift weights against other people, and I'd go all by myself, and I knew nothing, and that's how it all started for me.
That's amazing. And so when did you start Xconditioning?
Me and my business partner started Xconditioning in 2005. We used to train out of PG Fitness down at 2nd and Victoria, and we opened at this location in 2008. And when we originally opened it so we could powerlift, and we trained sports teams. And then it just evolved from there.
And what kind of sports teams did you train?
We trained the Cougars, the Spruce Kings, and all the tons of minor hockey teams.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that lends itself nicely to this kind of things because it can be sport specific then, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. And it was very easy for us to do it here because we set it up for the athletes, and now it evolved into what it is. We only had the one half of the location at that time, and then we got the other half, and we expanded with more lifting, and everything just grew from there.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about what keeps you going in this weightlifting or powerlifting? And let's get that straight. Are you a powerlifter or a weightlifter?
Powerlifter. Powerlifting is the squat, bench, and deadlift, and they all combine for a total. Weightlifting is the clean and jerk and the snatch, and totally different.
As I'm going to find out soon enough,
right.
I'm sure.
We'll show you.
Yeah, for sure. And so I just wanted to know, what keeps you inspired? What keeps you going?
For me, it's the younger lifters here. Like, I've been doing this since the 90s, and I've had multiple injuries. I have 2 titanium shoulders. I had 2 shoulder replacements. I have both knees that need to be operated on again. They've both been operated on before. Torn both biceps off, had them reattached. So I've had multiple injuries. But just like training all the younger lifters keeps me motivated because I compete against them all the time. So it keeps me going and inspired to keep lifting.
Can you tell me what goes through your head as you approach the bar, the weights, however you think about it? Can you just tell us what goes on in your head?
Yeah, when I lift weights, and what I tell all the lifters here, like you're lifting something that's going to be very stressful on your body, but you have to respect the weight and not fear it. Like if you go up to a heavy weight, like your maximal lift, and you have fear in your head, you're probably going to miss the weight. But if you just respect it, and by respect I mean do everything properly, do all your technique, all your setup properly, you're probably going to get the lift. So that's how I approach it, with respect for the weight, just meaning that I have to do everything properly.
And so can you go over what happens in a deadlift, say?
Well, the deadlift's always the last thing you do in the competition, so you're most fatigued and most tired. So for the deadlift, all I'm thinking is pull it as hard as I can. Like, because all your training throughout the years and doing the deadlift over and over again, you should have the muscle patterns to be able to do it. So all I'm thinking when I'm doing the deadlift is just as hard and as fast as I can.
And what about the other 2?
It's pretty much the same for those lifts too. Like the squat is my best lift is the squat. So it's one of the most technical lifts because you have the deadlift, you're just lifting it off the floor. You're going in one plane. In the squat, you have to lower it in perfect position and then come up with it. So the squat, I'm thinking, is be as tight as I can and make sure my technique is on point.
And what about the bench press?
For the bench press, like there's a lot of setup. Like our big thing with the bench press is you bench with your back here, not your chest and your triceps, because you control the weight on the way down with your back. if you don't have that control on the way down, you're not going to be in a perfect position to press.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's all very technical.
It sounds so much more complicated than I ever thought. So I just thought it was going to be brute force, and there you go.
No. And the programs we use are all based on science. It's not just you just lift weights and you get stronger. There's a certain way to do it with recovery set in to make you stronger.
That's amazing, Mike, and it's just so wonderful. And now it's going to be a little bit of a brag. And so I want you to tell us what kind of accomplishments, records, things like that you've had.
Okay, so I've been lifting for over 20 years, and I've set multiple records during that 20 years. My biggest thing is a squat. My best squat is 960 in competition. Bench is 667, and deadlift is 716. And like at my age now, over 50, it doesn't matter what I lift. Like I'll set a record every time I lift now, because I'm a little bit stronger than the other lifters at my age, so I can set world records at every meet I go to.
That's incredible. And Mike, you just have to tell our viewers, how old exactly are you?
I'm 52, turning 53 in July.
That's amazing. You don't look even anywhere near that.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait for everybody to see all the stuff you're just going to be doing right now.
Okay, thanks.
We're standing here with Tina Lamarsh, and she is relatively new to this crazy little world of powerlifting. And so we're going to let her talk about that a little bit. And the first thing we want to know is how old you are and what has inspired you to start powerlifting.
I turned 50 last year in February.
And what got you started? Because I know that it was a bit late in your life that you started. So what happened to get you lifting?
Actually, I had a workplace accident and I broke my shoulder. I was in my recovery and I couldn't lift anything more than a coffee cup at the time. And nearing the end of all my physio, I did an occupational rehab clinic where I was exercising not just my arm for rehab, but the rest of my body to condition it to get to my return to work. And when I returned to work, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I've started something and I don't want to lose what I had. And I always thought I was sort of strong because I can carry my own tool bag and kind of carry my own weight at work. It was my son that inspired me because he said, well, Mom, why don't you just join my gym? And I watched a competition that my son did when I was healing. And I thought, my goodness, this boy is so strong. I couldn't believe it. And I watched all these other people and just, it grabbed me. So I told Josh, I said, really, you want your mom hanging out at your gym? And he's like, oh, no, try it out. So I started coming here and it's bit me. I've got the bug and I love it here. I love the atmosphere. I love all the people that are here and it's terrific.
That's wonderful. And so I have to ask you to brag a little because there's something on a website that says you are a Canadian record holder recently. So tell me about that.
I just competed in my second meet here at Xconditioning in November. And I managed in Masters 3 category in my weight division to lift a record lifts in my bench and my squat and my deadlift.
That's incredible. And now we have to brag a little more and say the actual weight so people understand how much you actually lift in your competition.
My squat and my deadlift were 145 kilograms, and my bench was 67.5.
And so is that fairly typical that you would be able to lift the same weight in those two categories?
That was actually the most I've ever lifted at any given time. When I got to my third lift, I was feeling strong and I felt very powerful. My son actually was a spotter. So I've got proud mama pictures of me doing my my squat with my son ready to save me if I couldn't lift it. So I felt a lot larger than normal during that meet.
That is incredible. And so that's every athlete's dream, is to perform their best during a competition. So that, and to have your family right there, what an incredible experience that is. So for newbies that are out there looking at you as a power lifter, what can you say to the people that might be interested in joining the sport?
I would think it's about trying it. I'm a firm believer that you never know until you try it, and you surprise yourself. And it's incredibly empowering when you are able to do these things, and it changes your outlook on your body size, whether you're too small or you're too big. Like, it changes your whole mental outlook on the way that you view yourself. And being around all these people that all have the same goal, it's uplifting. It's absolutely incredible.
That's so wonderful and so inspiring. I think I might, go home and lift maybe a kettlebell or something. I'm not sure. And so can we talk a little bit, Tina, about your approach to the weights? And I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to keep going, but I'm just going to rephrase that. So what I wanted to know about your process from the very beginning of lifting the weights, and then was there a specific moment where you went, I think I can do this? Was there something like that?
When I first started here, I actually got a 10 punch pass. So I just figured I'd come in here, and I'm unsure about myself and my size and what I'm capable of. So I'm like, well, I'll just try to do a little bit and just keep my arm strong for work. And then I started kind of hanging out with my son's girlfriend, Kathleen, who is also a power lifter. And they just encouraged me just a little bit more. Oh, try the other side. It's not so scary. I'm like, that's the scary side. I'm on the green side. And, I'm just going to run around and go on the bike. And my aha moment was when I did my first squat, and it wasn't that bad. So I'm like, okay, well, now I can improve. So it gave me a bit of a line to start at and just work from there.
That's incredible. Thank you. And so now I want to talk about how you approach the weights. Is there something that goes on in your head that says, okay, here, I'm going to go do this now?
Usually once I get heavier, I start thinking more, and as I walk up to the bar, I honestly feel I just have to do it once. I just have to lift it once. And then you lift it once, and then you're like, oh, I lifted it once. Well, maybe if I put a little bit more on, maybe I can lift that once. So I'm always trying to think beyond the bar and beyond what's on the bar. And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, but maybe next time you can, right?
That's right. And that's the most important thing I'm thinking, that it's just all about the try, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Masters in Motion, and perhaps it's even inspired you to move a little too. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys about something called Tina Time. It's something that we cheer for Tina when she comes out to the platform, because just watching her, she embodies everything that not just powerlifting, but any competitive athlete should compose of themselves. She's excited, she's exuberant, she cheers for everybody, she's happy to be there, even if something maybe doesn't go her way. She just smiles, carries on, and takes the next attempt. So she is, it's just something that the whole gym, everybody cheers, Tina Time, when she comes up to the platform, and it's just she's everything that we love about this sport, and she's a joy to watch. You can cry.